Hello, this is Logo here, giving my reaction to this video from Jubilee on YouTube, One Doctor versus 20 RFK Jr. supporters, featuring Dr. Mike. It's one of their surrounded style videos, and I'm here to give my opinions on some of the takes that I see here and things I like and dislike. I'm no medical professional. These are just my opinions, so don't hold anything against me in that regard. But if anyone wants to chat about it or reach out on YouTube, you can find me at XLOGOX. All right, let's get into it.
Hello there,
Hello,
Mike.
hello.
Dr. Mike.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How do you feel about my claim?
I think your claim is absurd because we've got someone that is actually challenging, which is science. I mean, science is about scrutiny, not Orwellian obedience.
True.
And if we want to find the truth, we should always have both sides of the story and, check out both sides and then find what the truth is.
I agree with that completely. I wish more people in general would give both sides of whatever argument is, but a lot of times, like as far as health information or maybe nutrition, it seems to me at least that it's kind of one-sided. And I personally like to have all of the overarching evidence in front of me and then picking what I want to do. Like if something, is going to cost me a lot of money and it's only going to give me like 0.5% gain or improvement to my life, probably not worth it. But if something is going to cost a lot of money and give a lot of gain, then could be potentially worth it. Same kind of thing with nutrition and things of that nature. So let's see.
That's interesting because in some ways I agree with your statement. We should absolutely be skeptical, and science is about proving our initial thoughts wrong. When we do research, for example, we try and look at not just our hypothesis of what we think is going to happen. We actually try to prove the null hypothesis. We actually try to design research that
that's
disagrees
true.
with us. So I'm curious why you think Secretary Kennedy right now is the correct pick versus what you claim to be the other side.
Let's put it this way. We had to live through the medical tyranny of COVID, and his organization, Children's Health Defense, was on the front line of pushing back against that tyranny. I was part of that. I did protests, and I started a rally in Beverly Hills that was very popular. By the end of the year, we had 4,000 to 6,000 people marching through the streets saying...
That kind of surprises me, honestly, because I feel like Los Angeles in general is very like woke, kind of leftist ideology area. In the grand scheme of things, 4,000 to 6,000 compared to the grand total people that live there isn't that much. So I find that pretty cool. At least people are trying to stand up for what they think is wrong or right. I think the masks, a lot of people dislike them, and it kind of was encroaching on some people's freedoms, I guess you could say. Kind of telling people what to wear and things along those lines. I think they probably helped a little bit, but I don't think it was as good as what the administration at the time made it seem like. And I mean, people still would get sick and things like that. So, but I mean, it could have reduced it for sure. I could see that.
Enough is enough. They first, like Fauci, told us, the masks don't work. And then, you need to wear a mask. And then it was 2 masks. So, again...
I don't even remember when they said to wear 2 masks. Maybe I just missed it. But yeah, I think the 2 mask thing, that's freaking stupid. I've still seen people around today that wear masks. And I'm just like, come on, dude. Like, let's get over ourselves. We're all good now. But yeah, 2 masks, a bit ridiculous. 1 mask... I think, if you're going to go out and if you're among your friends or whatever, I wouldn't expect anyone to do that or hold it against them if they didn't. But yeah, some situations I could see it, but I'm not convinced for sure that it did as much as what they want us to believe it did.
The goalpost just kept moving and moving, and we knew it was just baloney. Anybody can smell a rat. And we just see a lot of the same
Smell a rat.
pattern, like during HIV, for instance.
Oh, okay.
Remember that Bactrim, the NIH and the government were demonizing this with doctors. And then we find out that it actually does help HIV. But they didn't want to cure because they wanted to push AZT, which made a lot of money for Big Pharma. Same thing happened.
Yeah, that lady right there just hit the nail on the head. I feel like that's the main issue people have with health sciences these days is that just like anything else in the world, it's all driven by money. Here's the way I see it. Like if you have two scenarios, like option A or option B, and it's like a well-informed medical person, like even Dr. Mike, could potentially be like, okay, well, here we have option A. We'll do this thing. It's going to really help everybody. It's going to, increase life longevity. It's going to make people healthier, have better lives. But we're not going to make that much money from it. We'll make just barely any money, just enough to scrape by, basically. Or you have option B, which is, well, we'll just give them this treatment. Not going to focus too much on the nutrition or things like that because those are more controlled by the people themselves. Whereas we could push certain medications or other things on people that we are in control of producing, and they might not get as good of a life or better life or more life longevity. But we're going to make a lot of money. We're going to make a stupid amount of money. So yeah, we'll go with that one. And it's just like right there, the morals of the situation get compromised because money's involved. It's similar to insulin. Like I'm a type 1 diabetic, and thankfully I have health insurance to cover a lot of my costs and help me out in that way. But if I didn't, dude, I'd be screwed. So for instance, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to have a vial of insulin, it's going to be this big. It'll probably, that single vial this is just a scenario like that. The way I think about this, it's like, but yeah, I'm not saying this is like what actually happens, but this is just my take on it is that, yeah, we have like a vial of insulin. It costs, $4 to make. So realistically, like we could sell it for, maybe $30. But instead, we're actually going to sell it for $500, and then we're going to be able to produce 2,000 of them an hour. And yeah, it's going to be really good for us. And then they'll get on like some platform or whatever and be questioned about it. It's like, well, we have to run our company and pay our employees, so that's why it's so expensive. And it's like, okay, but your employees are making this much money here, your electricity bill is this much, water costs this much, and maybe throw in a couple extra things I'm not thinking of. And, to break even, you could probably charge maybe like $50 a bottle would break even, or probably like even 30 would break even. But instead you're charging 500, but you're claiming for the employees. It's like, oh, where's all that other money going? Oh, yeah. Right in the pocket of the guy that is the CEO of the company and the board of direct, all that kind of stuff. So I think money does kind of mess with a lot of this stuff, and it like dilutes the morality and like the right versus wrong thing to do, because obviously everyone wants more money. So it's like, if you throw money in it, then I don't think you might be the most willing to do the right thing, I guess you could say. Like, for instance, I saw a doctor once and I was like having trouble sleeping, and they did a test on me before, and I had like a brain problem, and they did a test on me, found whatever it was, and then eventually like it got better. But and then after that, I was having trouble with sleeping and like energy and stuff like that. And he was like, well, I'm not really sure what we should do, but we can do this and this and this. And I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, I wonder how much that's going to cost in the back of my mind. I go home and call the people, and they're like, oh, yeah, okay, so this test here is going to cost you $700. And I was like, no, it's not, because I'm not going to do that. Like, not on a just random, blindfolded, let's throw darts at the board and see which ones stick. Like, we're not going to do that. So, I mean, I think when you throw money in the situation, it just, dilutes everything.
During COVID. And we had 2 doctors here in California that had a 99% success rate. Okay. okay? It was Brian Tyson and George Fareed. And they had 7,000 patients that they helped.
Treated COVID patients with hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and either azithromycin or doxycycline. He said patients had great outcomes and that the earlier they were treated, the better. This was never proven to be replicated in randomized controlled trials. Huh? And that's usually what you have to do to really say something is like effective. But that's interesting.
99%, which is better than the COVID-19 shot, because once we saw people taking those shots, we saw people dropping like flies.
I feel like we took a lot of topics there and we tried to put them together, so it's going to be difficult for me to reply to you. Let's start with the idea of moving the goalposts.
Okay.
So, in science, we're always learning, right? As a doctor, the things that I recommend today will likely change in 10 years, in 20 years, because as knowledge evolves, we're going to make new recommendations. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say, but this is months, okay? And we know that a virus
That's a
is
good
0.1
point.
micron. We see the holes in the mask. You really think that that's going to hold a virus? I mean, we see what virologists wear. It's like a spacesuit.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. I love that you point out the particle size. And there's actually a unique principle with particle movements that the reason why N95 masks actually work quite well for the COVID virus, because even when something is smaller than the size of the mask.
N95 masks not only have tightly woven fibers to catch droplets, they also have an electric charge to attract and trap particles that are passing through. Huh, I didn't know that. Actually, where I work, we have N95 masks for certain things we do with like powders and stuff like that to avoid people inhaling them, but I didn't know that's actually the way they work. That's pretty interesting.
Mask, the pores within the mask. The way that those particles move actually makes them.
Brownian motion is the name given to a physical phenomenon in which particles smaller than 0.3 microns move in an erratic, zigzagging kind of motion. This motion greatly increases the chance they will be snared by the mask fibers. So I guess what he's trying to say is that even though maybe the fibers of the mask are bigger than 0.3 microns, aka particles could still get through the type of mask it is. And this type of a phenomenon, the Brownian motion, would still cause it to get trapped. So I guess I could see that.
More readily captured by that mask. Isn't that interesting how sometimes what we perceive to be the logical answer sometimes can be disproven in science? And this goes to show in the same way that we made mistakes in the past.
Well, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because they were putting masks on people. So now bacteria is gigantic compared to a virus. We know that, right?
Yeah, they're large.
And my friend, by the way, was a biology research professor at UCLA. So I've learned a lot from him. And, he went to a very established school, Cambridge University. And that's what he dealt with. That's why he said, this is nonsense. So I'm going to listen to the experts, which is Dr. Elliot Haymock, and look at,
the experts. He just smiles because he's like, oh yeah, you're gonna listen to him but you're not gonna listen to me. I picture that's what he's thinking right now. Like, I'm a doctor, I could be considered an expert.
People were getting sick and worse when they were wearing masks because they were forcing themselves to breathe the very bacteria that was dangerous.
So when I'm in the hospital and I'm treating patients who have COVID-19, for example, I wear an N95 mask. You think I'm wearing that mask to potentially make myself more sick instead of protecting myself from the patient who has COVID-19?
Well, I believe that you believe that it works, I believe that you believe that because the medical industry, I believe, has been corrupt for a long time.
What makes it?
I would probably agree with that.
Well, there's an interest, that people have special interest. It's a revolving door. When you look at a lot of these NIH or NIAID, these people have been funded by Big Pharma, and then they go.
Oh, Big Pharma, yet again. Here we go. And guess what it all boils down to? Money, like I said earlier. Let's see what they have to say about that.
In the medical industry. So to me, that shows corruption.
So if someone is funded by Big Pharma, does that automatically make them corrupt?
Not necessarily,
I wouldn't
because
say
there
so.
are honest people, but the fact that they censored, even Mark Zuckerberg was asked in the Senate floor if he was being, coerced by the government to shut down free speech when it came to COVID. We had a friend who, her best friend died of COVID shots.
That's kind of messed up. Yeah, I feel like you can't do that, especially that's definitely a type of corruption, I would say. Since if you're the CEO of freaking Meta, like one of the largest social media owning companies out there, censoring certain like, yeah, I don't think that's right. But at the same time, I mean, you can't. It's like a slippery slope. I feel like you can't do that. But like people should be monitored, and like you can't just go out and be like, oh yeah, I think drinking bleach is great. Like that's a great idea, and you can't go out and say things like that because obviously we know that would kill somebody. So it's I can kind of see both sides of this, but yeah, I think it just has to be monitored carefully. Like you shouldn't censor people, but you can't tell people to do stuff like that. But let's see what they have to say.
Two of them, and she had these huge boils all over her legs, and they sent her home. They did not report with VAERS that was that. They actually didn't want to even talk about it, which shows me corruption. Then I had a friend, Dr. Simone Gold, that was treating patients with early treatment, and the Master of Business Association comes to her, which doesn't have a medical license, and threatened to fire her, which she did. She got fired. That is called medical tyranny.
Okay, pause. Vote it out. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.